Well, I don't have the writer's loft anymore. I don't even have a chair to sit in. Everything is packed. So how do you write in transition? Hello, if we haven't met before, I am Dr. Denis'Thomas, and I have just moved. And if you have ever moved, you know the chaos of having all of your stuff packed up and hard to find. I have stuff in storage units, I have stuff in the car, I have stuff in suitcases, and finding what I need when I need is definitely a challenge during this transition period between homes. Goodbye, writer's loft. I do have my laptop with me, and so I am mostly able to keep up with the 100-day challenge, but I'll admit I've missed a few days because some days moving tasks took priority. It's just the nature of being in transition. Well, all of our family rhythms have been disrupted at this point. We're not sleeping in the same spaces, we're not eating the same kinds of food, and any sort of family schedule that we had has been thrown out the moving van window. So here we are, definitely in transition. So what do you do when everything that is normal is now out of whack? How do you keep writing consistently in those times? Good question. I'd love to hear your ideas in the comments because I'm definitely looking for some good ideas. So for me, one of the big things that I do that helps me create some sort of a rhythm and normalcy is I pair writing with something that I do no matter where I am. So for me, that's waking up. I mean, even if it's a different bed every night, I am waking up. And so after I wake up, that is a good time for me to do writing. Well, after the coffee. Wake up, get coffee, then write. You could also pair writing with maybe eating breakfast or brushing your teeth or getting dressed in the mornings. Or if you write at a different time of day, you might pair it with something that you do later on in the day. For me, an already wonky schedule is even wonkier as the day progresses. So I like to do it first thing. But I also want to say that when you are in transition, it is okay to set aside writing for a little bit. I mean, it may be that writing is just not the priority for a few weeks as you are making this transition. Maybe whatever writing you get done is just gravy. It's just the good stuff on top, but it is not the priority. I mean, if you are moving, you already have enough details that you are taking care of. You already have enough things going on that trying to pressure yourself to write every day on top of that just may be too much. And I think transitions are a great time to give yourself some grace, to relax a little bit about how often you write. I mean, I'm still writing, but I will tell you that I have missed days during this transition. There were some days where, closing on the house and getting to the bank on time and getting utilities shut off and getting the movers situated and packing all the boxes and all those kinds of things that had to be done just took precedence. Because when you're moving, there's never enough time. There's always too much to do. So you have permission to miss days when you are in transition. My suggestion is that you just do it on purpose. That maybe you set it up so that, say, for this week or 2 week or 3 week period, if I write, I'm going to be glad that I did. But if I don't write, there is no shame and there is no guilt. Those feelings of shame and guilt are about getting us to do the right thing. But sometimes the right thing is to not write. So just do it with intention. I think for me right now, the fact that this transition is happening during a 100-day sprint and that it is happening during this very productive time of year, for me gives me a little bit of an urgency to write anyway. And so I have managed to write more than I thought I would, honestly. But you be you, and it's okay to just be in the transition where you are. Now, the risk of setting aside writing completely is that you may start new rhythms and new routines on the other side of your transition that don't include writing. I think that's why it's really important to me to have a lot of grace with writing as I do, because even just a little bit of writing, just writing every few days or so, actually keeps me closer to the habit than completely abstaining from writing. So I'm just grateful for any day that I get some writing done, and I'm okay with the fact that I'm missing days. Of course, all this means that on the other side, now I have to create new rhythms and routines. And because writing is important to me, this will be part of my routine. I will keep to morning writing because I know that has worked for me, and it's something that I can get done before the day tends to get away from me. And you know, unpacking boxes and homeschooling children and trying to get used to a new community will bring a lot of new challenges. And so I want to make sure that my writing is done first, because for me, writing is that big of a priority. And again, even then, I'll still be in transition. So my approach is to have a lot of grace for the transition, but to write as consistently as I am able to. This channel is not about perfection. It is about establishing habits that serve us well so we can write consistently most days, and then we just watch the words add up until we get to a draft. Whew. But that doesn't mean that transitions are fun. They are definitely a challenge. You know, this transition for us has been one that we sought out. We wanted to move. We wanted to sell our house. We kind of invited all this chaos. But just because it's what I would call a good transition doesn't mean it's not difficult at times. I wonder if you're in a time of transition too. You know, transitions can take a lot of different forms. Sometimes they're for good reasons, like moving because you want to, or adding a new member to your family, or starting a welcomed new job. All of those kinds of transitions can be welcomed and exciting, and yet they still have obstacles and they are still difficult to navigate. It's also possible that you're in a transition that you don't want. Maybe you're having to move, but not because you want to. Maybe you are transitioning because of a difficult job loss. Maybe you're having to move closer to family because of a family change that has required you to be closer to people that can help you. But it feels like you're a child returning home. Whatever the reason for your transition, just know that transitions are difficult. You know, regardless of the reason for the transition, we often have to grieve what we are leaving, even as we are hopeful to what the next chapter may be. Transitions are also a good time to evaluate your writing. Is this something that you want in your life? For me, that is a definite yes. I absolutely want to keep writing. It's one of the high priorities of things that I want to do. So that decision is now made. In my transition, I will figure out a way to incorporate writing. For you, you may have decided, you know, that season of writing has ended, and maybe it's time to do something different with that time. That's okay. You get to decide what you do in your life. It's also possible that for you, it's just a maybe right now. Yeah, I want to write. I definitely have this ambition to get this book written, but I'm not sure that this is the time to do that writing. I am always a fan of being intentional with your decisions. And so maybe you decide, I'm going to put off writing for a couple of months. I'll put a reminder in the calendar to revisit that decision. And in a couple of months, I'll see if this transition has finished enough so that I can pick up writing again. You know, those choices are all yours. But if writing is something that you want to continue during and after a transition, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because I have all kinds of tips and tricks about how to do that. Well, it is getting hot in the car, so I'm going to end this video here. Transitions, what can I say? If you have any ideas for me, please include them in the comments below. I would love to hear from your wisdom about how to navigate a moving transition. I'll see you in the next video.